The Mazda Miata might be the perfect project car, but not only that, it is perfect for engine swaps. That's why many people go with things like the K-Series. But what if you took the J-Series V6 from the Honda Odyssey and put it in a small package? And that is what we're answering today. By far one of the most unique and interesting engine swaps I've seen in the Miata. I was so curious to see if this upset the car or changed the car's dynamics. So is it really worth going from the 1.8 liter to the J-Series V6 from the Honda Odyssey? Let's go for a drive and find out. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are in an NB Miata. It has been so long since I've driven an NB Miata. Last one I drove was a black one that was done up pretty much perfectly, and it was pretty much the cleanest one I'd ever seen. The last Miata I drove was a K-Series one, which that's kind of like the go-to swap nowadays, right? However, this one has a J-Series V6 in it that you would find in the Honda Odyssey, the Acura TL, stuff like that. So V6, naturally aspirated motor from those Hondas in the Miata. And surprisingly, when you pop the hood, there's a good gap between the radiator and the actual motor itself. I thought it was gonna be crammed in here. I was wrong, but the alternator almost touches the frame. It is so close. But NB Miata, if you don't know, compared to the NA Miata, which is the flip-up one everybody knows, the NB Miata had a 1.8 liter, basically variable valve train engine, kind of like VTEC in a lot of ways. The J-Series, though, also has VTEC. I always forget about it because I only think of the 4-cylinder cars, right? I think of the K-Series, the B-Series, all that stuff. This is the factory transmission with an adapter plate up to the J-Series. I thought he would have to use, you know, a J-Series manual or some weird combination. Nope, factory Mazda one, hooked up, no problem. Also have a roll bar behind us, which is always important when you're gonna go full send in the Miata. And it's just a nice, simple silver car at the end of the day. Sound-wise, definitely sounds meatier and beefier than, say, a K-Series or B-Series or the 1.8 liter motor that came with it. The 1.8 in this car is actually a pretty good engine. To be different, this definitely checks that box. The Miata is all about momentum. You're able to floor it all the time. And also with this, with the wheel and tire setup, the turn-in is just, it's actually kind of intense. As soon as, look at this, turn in. Like, you barely have any steering input, and it goes really hard into the corner. The Miata, at the end of the day, has always been known as a great project car platform. I have seen everything from diesel swaps to EcoBoost swaps from the Focus ST to LS swaps to Coyote swaps, anything you could think of. People just want to go fast in a Miata. A lot of people get the Miata and they go, this motor is not enough for me, even though they drive absolutely perfect from the factory. It has so much more torque than I'm used to. God, no matter what engine you put in this thing, they're so easy to drive fast. That's the thing about them. That's why everybody loves them. But I'm just so in awe about when you pop the hood on this thing and how the swap is done with the minimum clearances in some spots and then tons of clearance in other spots. A lot of the times when you do a motor swap in a car that it was never meant to happen in, usually it's this close to the fan, right? Or this close to the firewall. This has like this close to the frame rail in one spot, and then on the other side with the accessories, different on this side. I do think that the J32 swap suits this car. At first, I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, but it's not too loud. It has no drone. It's not an LS swap, so it's not like one of those things where you're like, that's definitely an LS swap Miata. This has a little bit of mystery to it, because when he pulls up in it, it doesn't have, you know, any of the hood cut out. He doesn't have any of that. It just looks like a factory Miata with a roll bar on it. So when you do pop the hood, it's like a nice surprise, right? One thing about this swap though is that the oil pan hangs extremely low. So even though it looks factory, the Miata looks factory, if you were to go under it and look, hangs much lower than the normal factory engine. One thing I did notice is that this does not really sound like a J-Series engine. They have a very signature sound, but this one, it's probably because of the exhaust setup. The exhaust goes from a double back to a single, then back to double again, or back to a dual. When you go into VTEC, that's when you start hearing kind of the variable valves and all that. But it's a very smooth engine. It doesn't feel like you're destroying this car, right? Or unbalancing this car. It's a very smooth experience. 3, 2, 1. Dude, okay, so it turns in so hard that when you swing back around, it kind of does this number sometimes if you go too aggressive with it. The tachometer is a little bit off, so I'm kind of going by ear. It's not like one of those things where you just don't have a tachometer at all. So this has the factory 5-speed transmissions, but some of the more special models had the 6-speed, but most of these had the 5-speed, and that's what we're using. Also, let's talk about this Nardi wheel on the MB Miata that came with it. Believe it or not, this is the same Nardi wheel that's in my Miata, or Alejandra's Miata. Gotta be careful what I say around that. My girlfriend's Miata. And a lot of people take these and swap them to the NA to have a nicer feeling wheel because it's a freaking Nardi wheel, obviously. The NB a lot of the times came with wood trim in the center, where it's interesting because you have this fully black interior and then it's like wood trim, go for it. They wanted like a little spiciness moment of classiness in the center. Is so long, even in the normal Miata, third gear is your momentum gear. You just keep using it. All right. You know what? I'm gonna ask you guys this question. If you had a Miata, blown motor, theoretically, in my opinion, if you have a working 1.8 Miata, milk that motor till it dies, right? Milk it, have fun with it, do whatever, beat on it. But when the time comes, with all these choices, I'm gonna ask you the question, what swap would you put in any generation Miata, especially the NA and NB? Would it be, I'll give you some options. We'll just check LS, right? LS, EcoBoost, J-Series, K-Series, and just a better built 1.8. Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. This video is brought to you by Patterson Car Care. Get double of premium original detail product for half the price. Head over to PattersonCarCare.com or go to the link in the description below.